Go.
Pre-show. Boom. Alright, we're starting in here with a little sound check, so we're going to do 5-minute warm-up, but we're going to do it live and recording it for posterity. Alright. And I'm still working on stuff here, so. Anyways, I'll give it a minute to catch up here in chat. So we're live. Live now. Not live in 5, but live right now. Alright. And let me go back over here to the Liberty Media. How come it doesn't show? Wait a minute. Did it do it? Did I do it wrong? Hold on. I'm in bar now. I've been pinged. So let me go back to the site. I'll refresh.
Still that humming in the back.
Yeah, it's on. Yeah, it's pinged. Where's the racket?
No, I said there's still that humming.
Go back to chat at reallibertymedia.com. Real Liberty Media for World Truth. Alright, and it's live now.
More unstoppable.
We're doing a pre-check.
I can't type in. I must have done something wrong.
I was typing. Hey Brent, what's up, dude?
Not much, man. Live from Seattle.
Live from Seattle. I woke up to snow this morning.
Yeah. How many feet?
No. I mean, I can already see the ground.
Ours has been sticking for over a week.
Let me get back to where I was going to be.
It won't warm up, and it's all your fault, man, because you're the son for the God thing, and you're fucking me up.
No.
Get with it, man. Get busy, man.
No.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we got Chris coming up.
Okay.
He's going to call in.
Okay. Got it.
Alright. So get ready to shut your mouth so that we can all talk over here. Let the grown-ups talk.
Here you go, bud. Yes, ma'am. I do everything you say.
Alright. I don't know why, but next. Come on. Oh, now. Yeah. War's a racket, and it's being waged around the world. It went blank. I mean, it changed to next from now, as I speak. And you and I are in the crosshairs. There's good news from the front. I hope you're tuned in. Come on now, this thing, I'm going to refresh. Yeah, I'm going to leave page and refresh. And then we're re-enter. Yes, I am. And Jane's going to be listening. Thanks for making sure that I did know about Thomas Robert Stewart. His name's long. Thomas Robert, Life of R. Stewart. That's his name. Okay, I'm re-entering here. I got a message coming in on that here. It's also in RealLibertyMedia.com. Got 2 minutes before we actually start. So, okay. Chris said he'll call in shortly after 1. Alright, are you starting here, my friend? Start. Enter. There we go. Joining. Okay. There's 2 from Chris. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Now, 1 minute till. Yep. Here we go. Welcome to RealLibertyMedia.com for World Truth. We've got a Facebook page up. We've got a YouTube channel up. We need 100 subscribers for a custom URL. So I'll go be grabbing that YouTube link, providing it. You can do a search for worldtruth.org on YouTube. Please subscribe. The last check was at 35 subscribers. The World Truth Real Liberty Media Facebook page, I think we're up to about 60-something subscribers, so hopefully we can coordinate that over to the worldtruth.org YouTube channel. So it's the top of the hour. And so we are live. Welcome. This is Real Liberty Media for worldtruth.org. And today it is Inspection. This is Volume 9, Episode 1 and 2. This is No Time for Rational Thinking. And it is noon Central, 7 p.m. in Denmark, with my host and producer, co-host or co-captain, / somebody. And we've got Brent on the line. We've got Chris Jackson calling in. I have Tom out in Burns County, Oregon, out at the refuge, and a good friend of mine from for last almost couple of years now since meeting him out in Bunkerville, Nevada, when me and a great many folks stood in the gap despite our fear in the face of this bastard child of the I'll have to come back and read that. Thanks, Michael. That's him, a man of many names. For primer time at ucy.tv, Tuesday nights for primer time. Great friend. And I did King's that. Oh, it must have been a little further down. I was going a long way for it. So there it is, right below. Big Brother and the nanny state had an affair and made baby Jack Boo. So today, war is a racket, and it is being waged around the world. You and I are in the crosshairs. There is good news from the front, so I appreciate you joining in now or later on downstream over at Speaker and YouTube and over at archives.org. Anyways, so what is this that we're talking about? I think let me take a sip of this right here and get in the mindset to talk about this. Actually, let me send this text, and I'll let Tom know that we're ready for his call. I spoke with Thomas a little earlier by phone, and he's out there. Thanks. That is a successful sin. He's out there now. Like I said, Thomas is a great guy. I spent a lot of time with him out in Bunkerville. He allowed me the use of his motorhome to do some broadcasting and some interviews. Really great guy, and somebody that I trust is knowing that he's bringing the facts. And of course, we all are biased in one way or another, but I would say he's certainly unbiased as far as where's Chris at? I see you right there.
Hey, Vince, it's me, Chris.
Is this Chris?
Can you hear me? Yeah, this is Chris. Just called in.
Oh, okay. Great. So we got you online. Awesome. Let me get back to this group call here. That way I can see us all. All right, good. All right. Chris J., Voice of Rebellion. I produce a show on Sundays on ucy.tv. So welcome to the call. Chris is going to do a little outlining of history for us. I guess before we jump into that, let me introduce Brent. Brent, tell us who you are and what you're about, brother. And then we're going to come over to Chris, and I'll come back in with some content a little later here. Go ahead, Brent.
Hey, I'm Meister Brow over at ROM, and I just got a new headset. Got Skype all set up, man. What I'm about is just trying to converse with other people and talk about what's important. Doesn't seem to get talked about too much on the mainstream media. That's where I come in with alternatives. We try pointing out what's important to me, and sometimes we got to sit down and talk about these kind of things. So that's kind of where I'm coming about. It's like we just need more alternatives, and we got to turn the table around on somebody somehow, and I think every bit counts.
Right on. Hey, why don't you pull your document? Let's see. Go ahead and post your one with questions over into reallibertymedia.com in the chat, and we'll pull that up and talk about that a little later. Right now, let's go to Chris J. Chris is a young man. He'll be 18 here in a couple of weeks. So, hey, Chris, glad you could join, bro.
Yeah. Well, I guess since this is the first time I've been on your show, I guess I'll do a little bit of the introduction. Well, I've been on UTY Radio's Voice of Rebellion program since June of last year. Voice of Rebellion Radio, that's kind of my little project. I brought it over to UCY. I started off actually about 2.5, well, we're getting close. It's more like 2.25 years ago, back in November 2013, when I started radio broadcasting altogether. And, well, I'm just here to produce a show that actually well expresses what's really going on in the United States and in other countries, and what is going on in the third world as well, at the hands of the United States government and the New World Order behind it, and also talk about the truth about Zionism that seems to be very inconvenient to talk about, and everybody freaks out when you talk about it. We talk about the power that they have on our Congress, the power that they have in our media, Operation Mockingbird, where they have a operation where they can they pretty much whitewash anything Israel does. And of course the United States government in their foreign policy, bombing country after country, and ultimately the Rothschilds has nothing to do with democracy or freedom. And I see a lot of my young generation brainwashed still by some of the old tools of propaganda, believing that the Democrats and Republicans are actually different when they both work for the same Wall Street masters and the same billionaires. And right now I think it's also more important than ever. People right now are getting fooled by the two-party paradigm right now in the election area. But this year, it's a very important year, because I think this might be the last election until something major happens. World War III, with the United States encroaching on Syria and coming in there to save their assets that are very terrorist in nature, the supposed moderate rebels, and also their encroachment in Iran, as we saw those sailors lurk into the waters of Iran. I don't think it's a coincidence. I don't think that they did it by accident. I think it was just a form of intimidation. And you can see Iran acted did not act very strongly to it, so they are afraid that the United States might use repercussions if they don't really cater to them. So right now, I think that we're at a point that's very important to talk about all the things that are really looming over the horizon. I think I've done it for 2 years. I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. And it's good to get a reach out on other platforms like I am today, going on Vince's show, and we're talking about bankers' wars, the funding, why these war events would happen, and I think we're going to talk about the major ones. But I think we're going to have a great conversation, and I'm going to hop on over to the chat room since it's one of my first shows. It's been a while since I've actually done on the phone, so I can use the time to chat real time with questions from the audience.
Right on. Are you over at reallibertymedia.com and chat now?
I'm actually heading over right now, but yeah, and hopefully, I assume that we're going to just talk about some of the major wars and what the current wars are. I think that interesting topics that come into mind, of course, when it comes to this is the RACKET that was the whole Vietnam War, and the current Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria. Is it starting to happen with Iran living over the horizon? But we can also talk about, of course, the whole mess that was World War II. I mean, that seems to come up in the truthers conversation a lot, and the many different sides on that argument. But when I think one of the more realizations that come up with that is that people think that there were really any good guys in that war, but there was very few good guys in that war when it comes to the leaders. All the leaders did atrocities to different extents. Hitler, Stalin, Roosevelt, Churchill, Mussolini, all of them were complicit, and we try to make it seem like it was like, but only these guys didn't do anything bad in the war, but that's not true. It was on both sides. There was major war crimes being committed, and that's another thing that's interesting to talk about, the rise of Hitler and the same bankers that were the rise in our government.
Right on. Yeah, building life, here's a quote off the Flashes page over at worldtruth.org. And it just changed. It said, though, building lives is more work than destroying others. Paraphrase. From the paraphrase plagiarism. I think it is important that we seek where we can right wrongs and where we can find them, right? We all have different things that we can address in life, and being able to speak about what's important, what matters worldwide, to be able to connect voices and to be able to broadcast this and stand and make a record is one way, and one of the ways that I myself am doing it. So I'm very glad to be here and being able to do this. So I was lost and looking for something over here and got and stuttered. Anyways, all this stuff. Go back over to Real Liberty Media. So, yeah, Meister Brow, that's Brent. Hey, Brent.
Wow.
Did you get that link? I was distracted here. Did you drop it over into Real Liberty Media yet? I don't see you there.
I'm over there.
Yeah, I see you now.
What's up?
Okay. Well, look, there's a lot of different ways we can look at this war that's against us. It's not only a war that's around the world, right? It's also right here at home. And when we're focused and we're being redirected and to cause diversion and division, I see it pretty clearly, and I'm going to take the Burns, Oregon incident right now and take that as an example. The Paiutes and those that everybody has something that they want, right? There's some wrong that they want righted. So when we can decide to say, okay, well, I'm not necessarily on board this guy's agenda right here, but he is standing for a right. So let me stand with that right. When we disagree or we with the way that is being done, maybe we can as friends give suggestion to a better way, a more right way, and go about that in a type of, I guess, brotherhood, in a sense that knowing where we are all in it together. The war is against us, and it's against us right here at home. It's against us in so many aspects. Clayton, thanks for this quote here, if I recall it correctly. And I think I'm certainly using it out of context that you posted, but I kind of find it kind of flies in the face of what it is that we really are up against. And excuse me, he said you can tell the winners by those that aren't complaining against the rules and the referees. But those winners are actually they're winners in compliance with the system, and the system is used against us. When you consider the fact that the top, I forget how many number, but the people that maintain the most wealth here in America, they're equal to the gross national product in South America, Australia, and Africa, I think it was, to the tune of trillions of dollars. And this has not come about by capitalism or free market or by fair trade or any stretch of the use of any of such terms or ideology. It's done by having embedded government as a corporation, and the rules of the corporation is profit. So it's not like they're playing against the rules, right? They set the rules in their favor. Go ahead.
on, Vince. It's supposed to be us against them.
Yeah, okay. Us against them. Who's them and who are us?
It's amongst ourselves. As long as we keep fighting amongst ourselves, you know, as long as we keep playing the duopoly, you know. I just interjected because there was a silent spot right there.
Thanks. Yeah, I get them moments, I guess.
Yeah, like, you know, I don't care what side of the coin you're talking about. It's, you know, there's just, I think it's coming down to debt and wars, and I think it's all coming down to, it's not like they really, you know, maintain their power structure when they, you know, people are prosperous and, you know, living well. I think that what it's coming down to is they're trying to create dependency. It's just being built into everything. I don't care if, you know, you're just no economic opportunity where you're at to the point that you go out and feel the need to go join a war just so you can earn a paycheck, or you just join the system because there's no other opportunities that are out there. But, you know, you start taking a look at the statists versus other people, there's just, it's us against them. You know, these people, they invest in these institutions. I don't care if it's the teachers' union that goes out and invests in Chevron and then that tanks. What it's causing in society is just debt and war. It's just, you know, everybody's just a bunch of pigs at the trough. You know, they just care about themselves to the point that they don't even care if war is going on or what's happening in their local economies, or homeless veterans are just sitting on every single corner. It doesn't matter if it doesn't affect them.
Well, let's get soldiers at this point, how the elite team, they're just pawns for their ugly international game. When you're talking about, that's what Kissinger saw as soldiers. He saw them as dumb men that would be used for pawns in foreign policy. And so they just dispose of them when they're done. And after they've already went and fought war for oil, for resources, and mainly it's about the Rothschilds are putting their banking system around the world, and then they go prey on these third world countries that don't have much of a defense against the military machine that has been built by the bankers, that is the United States military. And then another way they prey is that when these people are young, like my age, at 17, and they're looking out onto the streets, and they see there's not many jobs out there, especially in a low-income place like St. Pete, Florida, and with a lot of minorities that really, I mean, that's like a double disadvantage of the foreign market, and there are minorities that, well, the military, like, hey, you get a whatever for $3,000 a month, and then to them, that's more money than anybody in the family's ever made. So they're like, oh yeah, I'll definitely do it. And then they go there, and they end up realizing how horrible what they're doing. They realize that war is a complete racket, and that the United States military is a complete racket, mainly, is what I'm saying, and then they go there, and then they see these horrible things. They end up with PTSD and come home. And the thing is, in a fake-ass way that these reporters act when they come home, and they're like, oh, it's like, oh yeah, thank you for your service, but we're not going to give you the job. Thank you for this, you know, they act like they respect them so much, but they won't give them a fucking job, and then they're out homeless, and they, you know, and then you see homeless vets all over the place. You can see a lot of homelessness all together. Right now, we have somewhere nearing 1 million people are homeless in the United States. It's supposedly the richest country on the planet, is what, of course, the media is going to say. They're not going to say the truth, is that the economy is in shambles right now, but that we're nearing a total dollar collapse, with a total dollar reset coming up soon, and a petrodollar collapsing. Nobody is trading our dollars, really, you know, with trading oil with our dollars too much anymore compared to what it used to be, because everybody's sick of our game. A lot of people, or at least the smaller countries, have wised up and are sick of our game. People aren't really scared anymore because I think ultimately there's a big deterrent. His name is Clinton over there, that he will, you know, countries feel like that they won't be invaded because now they have put in a deterrent. I think that's why Syria has been invaded to this point, at least, is because Russia's went in there and deterred the United States from entering there. Because of course, Syria, the United States has had their eyes on it since, according to WikiLeaks, at least since 2006, when they wanted to go in there to because Assad is against the Rothschilds and against Israel. One of the main things, he's literally 52 miles from Israel. they actually share some of a border, but it's an occupied border. Israel occupies the Golan Heights. The Golan Heights does not belong to Israel. Actually, it belongs to Syria, but Israel took it for oil. I know it's a lot of info all at once, but what I'm saying is that this whole, there's so many different motives, and the United States, the military machine, is doing this for every reason but freedom and democracy.
Hey, brother, we interrupt the current program with update from the Buzz Beaver, and this is the 420 report, reminding you it is 420 somewhere, and cannabis can. Thank you, and smoke them if you got them.
I was just saying is that right now is that I can see that they're actually and they brainwash the young generation at this point with all this other stuff, the video games, the advertising in schools and stuff. A lot of the high schools, despicable. We have military recruiters seem like every other day coming to school. On Veterans Day, they had this big deal, and we almost felt the military like something to do for military PT. They even had people coming there as pretty much recruiters, handing out army backpacks, army merchandise, little pencils and shit. And we would have like a competition, like a military obstacle course competition or something like that. It was I just sat out that day because I thought it was just absolutely despicable. But it was too early for me to actually. I was just gonna sit there and act like I didn't see it. But I think if it had happened right now, I would have probably. No, I was just worried about graduating, so I wasn't gonna chew anybody out or anything. But that's just my thought.
It's become a corrupt military regime. It's like you brought up, the Clintons and the rise of Hitler, and you've got to take a look at what's going on with these. What's the correlation with these dynasty families that we have? I mean, it's been allowed by law. Look where the Bush dynasty earned all their money when they worked directly as bankers, illegally, and they helped the rise of Hitler. At the same time, another dynasty family, you have Hillary wants to become. She wanted to become the CEO of the World Bank. She wanted to be the successor of Wolfowitz, just another neocon. So it's kind of like, look what our foreign policy is about. Look where it ties to the banking. People just go along with it to the point that it's just acceptable to have, the military in the high schools. And it's just like it's social conditioning. These are illegal wars to begin with, and I don't care, if you believe in the boogeyman theory it happened on September 11th, 2001, but, I get it that these people are young and dumb, and they go out and join the military, maybe because there is no economic opportunity, maybe they want to fight Al-Qaeda and all that stuff, but at the same time, they're too young and dumb to even really know the geopolitics that's going on, and you just say, look what we're getting. We're getting debt and war. We're getting totalitarianism. I mean, this is an iron fist that's going on. And, I no longer can go along with, I don't want to say anything bad against veterans. They put their life on the line. I get it. They're there for their own beliefs, that they think they're helping their country and, people like us and their rights. But I think they're strongly misguided to the point that, if any of them go over there and get their legs blown off starting tomorrow, I don't think that you can call them war heroes. They've got this, wounded warrior mentality going on, but it's not too honorable with who they're fighting for. It's just debt and war. That's what we're getting.
I made the suggestion is that what about all those people that want to, sorry to interrupt you, but it's an idea, it's like all those people that want to, do something good for the country and pick up arms and they join the military. Of course, it's completely misguided notion because they're actually hurting their country when they do that. But all those people do something like what we're seeing, and I know that you could disagree with the all-out execution of what happened in Oregon, but what about a bunch of those all throughout the country, militias rising up and actually taking over federal government buildings, and all these people that were willing to actually take on an armed adversary? How about one that's domestic? The Constitution says that take out for the military is there to defend our country from all enemies, foreign and domestic. Well, there's only really one enemy right now, and it's domestic, and it's in D.C. Which actually, that's arguable. Some people say it's foreign. farm because there's a couple legalities that say that that's a city-state, but it's a whole different conversation. What I'm saying is that I think that
I think it is the same conversation. And from Flash on WorldTruth.org, he says, what is the significance in the order of events when telling a story? And that's very important. When we go to Burns County with the Bundy boys out there, people are saying, well, why are they here and why would they even occupy such a place, in this federal building, and they got guns? Well, but when we see the order of significance, we understand, first of all, that the people that are in governance over us, not for us, have manipulated themselves into this power, these seats of decision, these places of power, over generations, and they are well entrenched, and they are against us. This war is against us all. When we see why are the Bundy boys out there? Why are they seizing this land? Why is this place of importance? Well, first of all, it's the reason that the ranchers there, just like in Nevada and all over the country, people are being put out of business, and the federal government is seizing these places for collateral. And the collateral goes to the Federal Reserve, that is private, that prints the money. That is the only option given for not only us here in America, but by the petrodollar, for those to trade around the world. And when one or any oppose that, they are when they resist, they die. If you do not comply, you die. They're setting up there. They've got there's quite a situation building out there in Burns right now. Triage. They're moving their encroachment closer. The feds are towards the wildlife refuge. I'm sorry, that is not being held or anything like that. It's being occupied in the very same sense of a set-in. By the Second Amendment, reading in the Federalist Papers will give clear the language, the meaning of militia, well-armed, well-regulated militia. It's not government instituted. It's not government approved. It's not government regulated. It is of and by and for the people. They're standing against these folks out there. I don't want to call them folks, but these entities. Well, it's outdated. Let me see what you just said here. Distracted.
The concept is outdated.
The concept is outdated.
Of a militia in this modern day, yeah. It's unnecessary.
Okay, about the militia in this modern day.
So the government makes it necessary.
That makes it necessary. Go ahead, Brent. You wanted to interject. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think you're bringing up a valid point of what's going on in Burns, Oregon. Somebody alluded to that we're in default right now. We can't pay our bills as a nation. This is legal debt. And they are trying to hold our land as collateral. I mean, they've already tried doing this with our ports. We're trying to do it with our national parks. If you look at the NDAA, they gave Apache land to a private mining corporation. So now you start taking a look at what's going on with the BLM. With their land grabs. Trying to beating it in the heads of the psyche of American public that these are domestic terrorists. When in reality, I think it's an outright land grab. And what I think it's coming down to is these are structural adjustment policies that our government just doesn't have the guts to tell the American people, in open and transparent fashion that this is collateral for the debt, and we're just going to take it from you. And if they're going to be doing that with Native American sovereign land, if they're going to do that with BLM land, with the ranchers, if they're going to be doing this, who's to say they're not going to be doing offshore drilling or other natural resources? Because I think that's ultimately what's happening when we're going. I mean, they can say we're $18 trillion or $20 trillion in debt. I believe with the derivatives it'd be a lot more and it's spiraling out of control to the point that they're not even being honest with people anymore. But these are people that are just taking orders, working for the wrong side, and it's the good, honest people that might be there. Face the fact, there's a lot of people there that are just doing it for a job and are taking direct orders. I don't think they really give a damn about what's right or wrong or sovereignty as so much as they're making six figures and getting their pension going on for working for the feds. And it's just these are structural adjustment policies, and it's being tied to the debt. And what we're getting in return is wars as a result for the U.S. hegemony. They got to keep this all alive for the Wizard of Oz that it is.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Well, right now what we've seen with the BLM and all these other federal agencies is that it's definitely a big land grab. And the fact is that what I think is also happening, what we're seeing is that it is an effect of Agenda 21. And Agenda 21 is pretty much just a population control tactic in order to move all the populations of the rural areas of the more urban, popularized centers, move them more into urban areas where they're easier to control and easier to track. They don't really want people sporadically spread out through rural areas. It's already started. We're connected with big parts of this country right now where you cannot put your house and claim land or buy land because it's completely locked off. And it's not about wildlife or anything like that. I mean, I believe the government cares about wildlife. Look, they freaking poisoned the entire that river out there in Colorado, the EPA, and that's just another three-letter agency. And all the three-letter agencies, that work for the same master, of course. It's just a giant, encompassing federal government that I don't really think that maybe the only government that's comparable in size was, the Nazi government or Stalin's government. But this is a government that has so many different branches, and 150 armed branches now, and many are just dedicated to doing stuff like right now in Oregon, which that's what I do fear about the end of this militia deal, is that it's like Vince was saying, is that they are encroaching on them, and yes, after about 3 weeks, it looks like we're about to reach this is all going to come to a head soon, and whether we'll all be arrested or whether they'll be shot, we're definitely going to see what's going to be considered the status quo of what the government's allowed to do. In Waco, we saw that at that time, the people led the government would kill pregnant women and children, and just, in my opinion, everybody in there was pretty much innocent. I don't think anybody in there was committing any crime. And all they did was they had a church that was anti-government, and they had some guns. It was somewhat of a militia, but they were well within their rights, of course. And the government massacred them. And then they did the same thing in Philly with those MOVE activists, and they bombed their houses and they massacred an entire neighborhood practically. So it'd be interesting to see what's going to happen when we get to this Oregon dilemma. And I'd say that definitely the Bundys, these had well intentions. Now, I think that the only thing that was wrong about them maybe was that they did not act in a way that looked very good to a PR standpoint, but who gives a shit what what sheep are going to think. I mean, unfortunately, you can try to win the hearts of someone, but they're lost, a lot of them, into the media vortex, into believing that they're domestic terrorists. There's nothing they can do to win them over. So they're going to make fun about not bringing snacks or whatever. I've seen so many memes about, oh yeah, they didn't bring the snacks, look at them, they're a bunch of dumbasses. So everybody's laughing about how they got sent a box of dildos, which I just thought was a complete immature move. I mean, it's like, yeah, it's funny to 12-year-olds. It's sort of funny, but I don't think it was really. Everybody acts like that was the funniest thing they've seen so far. I think the funniest things are like the stupid things our government does, like when Bush couldn't walk through that door, but nobody, of course, there's some stuff that's politically correct to make fun of, but so all that aside, the Bundys are just the Bundys. I think it was good intentions, and I do hope that this ends up in their favor.
Sorry, I can't resist. Bush trying to get through that door. That's funny.
Yeah, I remember his face. I looked back at the crowd, and he was all confused. That face is priceless. But
I liked it when they threw shoes at him.
But I'm pretty right now that there's nobody out there at that refuge that's hiding or they're not entrenched went and met with FBI. What do you call those guys? A negotiator. But then it's funny. The guy just basically just stood there the whole time, and then they put him on the phone with another guy, and I believe he's up in Oregon or maybe in Denver. This guy that is one of the which doesn't make any sense. Why would they have this guy on the phone and not there? Why send one guy? And that guy right there, he is a little odd looking. He was dressed, played for the part, wearing Cabela clothes. His hat. Now, unless I'm mistaken, Cabela makes a hat that's collapsible and in the design of where it looks like this old flat hat that's pulled out of wardrobe, perhaps. Say it.
Dog will hunt.
The dog will hunt. That's right. And hey, some of these boys have got off the porch, and they are out there fishing with the big dogs. And that's what it's about. They're out there standing up. Now, nobody's hiding, like I said. Emmett went and met with the FBI yesterday to speak with them off the reserve there. Emmett's been going into town to meetings, and all those fellas are not hiding. So, look, if any governmental agency attacks with deadly force or any attack, then that's just showing where their loyalty lies, and it's not in the Constitution or any idea of what America is, was, or is supposed to be. I think it's very important that we all realize where we all are under attack. Again, we are all under the same boot. So we can talk about all these wars that have been occurring, well, for the last 200 and something years. I mean, even when they say there's been no major war at that time, just like, before in China, the fellas going over there and joining up with that special corps, whatever it was, I forget. Chris can tell you. He's fantastic on history. Why don't you just give us a little back wars here, back through the 80s. Let's talk about down in Argentina and how the folks were disappeared down there, and how that could very well be happening, if not already, which is, there is good indication that it has happened to Americans even, right here in the good old U.S. of A. Chris, why don't you give us a little back history, and maybe we can get a little correlation for today.
Well, there's an obvious correlation, but also the history is that back in the 80s, and really it's actually all the time post-World War II in Argentina, a military junta controlled Argentina, and they during the time they committed many crimes against dissidents, mainly people that they deemed on the left wing of the spectrum. A lot of activists were disappeared, many mass imprisonments, but a lot disappearing there. And all the way up to the 80s, they just went through, it wasn't like there was really one steady leader throughout the time, but there was one, Perón, was kind of like the one that's most notable. And the thing about Perón is that he was able to kind of gather everybody from a lot of different, there's people inside his own party that didn't really like him, but it was like the only way to get in politics, and they didn't want to really able to change him much. But there's also hardliner Peronists that were strong, pretty much fascist, and they continued for. They were fascist, and they went all the way. They transferred different leaders a few times, and throughout the 80s, they went through a few different leaders. There actually was a war that Argentina got involved with about the Falklands, which is ironic because they were fighting pretty much another fascist, Margaret Thatcher, and her British Army right there for the control of the Falkland Islands. But I think the Falkland Islands, Argentina trying to reclaim that. It was just a gathering. It was just to gather the people in support of the awful government, because they knew that as an issue that the Argentinian people have been well in favor for many years, is recapturing a land that it has been truly colonized by the British and does not belong to them. But however, that doesn't seem like it's ever going to be recaptured, because at this point they have a government very similar again under Marcio Macri, who's a very strong corporatist, and also is getting very close again with Britain. We're getting close with Britain, getting close with Israel, And like back in the day, I think Argentina did have very strong relations with Israel, and now they have strong relations with Israel again. So it's probably going to go back to many ways how it was in the 80s. And this was all throughout South America at one point during what was called Operation Condor, which the United States government supported fascist dictators across South America and other military rule throughout South America in what they call the Cold War tactic to go against socialists and communists. However, what actually happened, it was supporting fascists for control of South America, which during that time America had practically complete remote control of South America. They brought up Pinochet via coup in 1973 against Salvador Allende, who was democratically elected by Chilean people. And then via military coup, they forced Salvador Allende he was trapped, and he killed himself because he was about to be captured by the Pinochet soldiers. And then Pinochet took over the country, and during that time, he gave corporations 100% of the power, and they worked together with the big corporation, which is government in a fascist system. And this corporation, when corporate state power merges, that's fascism. And then Pinochet, he killed somewhere in the tens of thousands of Chileans and disappeared them. They just come up black vans in the middle of the night, throw you in the van, and you would never see them again. I mean, they just find remains of these people many, many, many years later. I mean, this regime ended 25 years ago, about almost. It ended in 91, so we're nearing the 25th anniversary of the fall of Pinochet. And it also this happened in Bolivia. In fact, in Bolivia, they brought in one of the top death camp guards, I think, or leaders of one of the top death camps in Germany, came to Bolivia, Klaus Barbie, and worked with the Bolivian government to capture Che Guevara, along with the CIA. They all worked together in 1967, and they ran a very tight, strict dictatorship there as well, and they had to they were killing multiple people. In fact, all of South America was practically the same. Venezuela under Carlos Andrés Perez, who pretty much gave all the oil to foreign interest and nothing to his people. And there was in Brazil, and there was Ecuador, I think, and over like 1 million people died in their Operation Condor. It was a horrible 20 years right there between 1970 and 1990 in South America. And it can happen in the United States very easily, all these same factors. It's already happening. And Occupy Wall Street, there's all these accounts of people being disappeared, and I believe that it did happen. I believe a lot of people were never seen again after that. They infiltrated and took over the movement via that way.
Yeah, and you and I were talking the other day, and you was telling me that they're actually voting back in these same powers down in Argentina now, the same faction, I guess.
Well, yeah, let's talk about that. Well, what has happened is that for a while there, the dictatorship, of course, lost its power, and then they actually there was a new government reversing a lot of the different rules and stuff from the old Argentine government, and it was a popular government. Most of the people supported it during the Kirchner's era, and they were being lifted out of poverty, basically. The really head of all the ugliness of the 20th century in Argentina ended with the 2001 collapse of the economy, where at that point, I think something like 30% of the Argentine people were in abstract poverty, which means you can't feed yourself. You don't have the money to do so, which that is comparable to African countries right there. And this is really rare to happen in South America. And then they had like over 60%, worse than 60% poverty. I think it was like way up there. And then during the time of the Kirchner, they went down to like 2% abstract poverty or less, I think, and almost virtually gone, only 8% poverty. And they had the complete restoration of the economy. But during that time, there's also one more thing, that the media was still controlled by the same kind of people that ran the junta's media back then. So the media was able to deceive a lot of these middle class. And the cycle that seems to happen in South America is that when they get to the middle class because of a popular government, a lot of these people, they get duped, and they say, oh, you can get rich with our government, come to our side. And when it happens, no, they just get all their money taken away. They fall into the real working class, not even the American working class, but I'm saying almost like the peasant class. And then the super rich even way more richer via inflation, where they devalue the money, sell everything off in privatization, and then only the allies of the government get all the money. That's usually what happens. Like what's going to happen in Argentina under Macri, if they don't have a popular revolution or something happen, or something crazy, which is anything's possible in South America. I mean, that's what we've learned throughout the years, that things can unfold very quickly and change. So maybe
Absolutely.
he won't survive for this whole term.
In this war that is against us, and against us all, might remind you, from Grimner, thanks a lot, Grim. He provides RealLibertyMedia.com, by the way. He says, let's hear about Flint water, California gas leak, Animas River, and so forth and so on. And that's to us here. That is the real war against us. Yes, it is. And as it is many-faceted, it is on many fronts. And our senses are assailed in the propaganda that is provided by media. It's affected in the water that most people drink with fluoride, and the processed foods, and the GMOs in the air that falls upon us. We are assailed at all fronts, in the vaccines, in the medicines, in the prohibition. It's against us. There is so much. It is so deep. And it is so methodical. Unfortunately, most people can't comprehend it. Brent is telling us about the banana republics and neo-colonialism and commodities and the IMF, the World Bank, and U.S. Agency for International Development.
That's what it is, Vince. It is neo-colonialism. He was talking about the Falkland Islands, and I don't care if you go back to the 60s, 70s, 80s, or now. It's still going on. These same international bankers, the IMF, the World Bank, they just loan out all that money. It's loan sharking 101. They get these corrupt governments, just like the U.S. government, so far into debt, there's no way out of it. So next thing you know, there's conditions if they want future money because, like you said, the diary of an economic hitman. They pump up their economies and then, build up their infrastructures, power grid lines, and then they pull the carpet out from underneath them, and they go into debt so fast they have to borrow money, because they got to control their power, and if they don't have the right corrupt people in there, they'll just shoot them out of the sky, and unfortunately the people that live in these banana republics, they just remain so far into debt. There's no social services. They just live in utmost poverty, and the next thing that's going on, that's what America's going to be like. We're just so far into debt. They're stringing us along so far. Everybody's getting their, free lunch programs or whatever that they just don't realize what's coming our way right now. These people are just, they're living the high life right now as it's slowly being taken away from them. And look what we get in return. We get vaccination agendas. We get, jackbooted thugs with cops, fluoride in the water, and Common Core. I mean, it's like they're purposely trying to keep people so dumbed down that they can't even see what's going on around them. And then you got a mainstream media that's beating in their head that anybody that does take a stand, they're a domestic terrorist. It's just, at the same time, you got to go back and say, well, history repeats itself. Look at these banana republics or the Pinochets of the world, and where did that money come from? It came from like the Kissingers of the world and all that. So it's just history is repeating itself right now. It's just we're going to be the third world nation. We're the largest debtor nation, and it ties to the pension scams that are going on. It's tying to student debt, which is now more than credit card debt. Yeah. It's going to come back to roost. It really is.
Yeah, it's here. I'm talking about instituting puppets in the banana republics. Just look at what we got here in America. Completely sold out. They do not represent or present in the first place anything that's coherent for as far as being for the people. Yeah, we got it and got it good. And the judges up there and the prosecution and the feds involved in putting the Hammonds in prison are just outright even illegal and certainly unlawful. So it speaks very loudly of the measures being taken against us outright now. So love your freedom. Thank you, Java.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you take a look at the failed economic policies that are going on in this country, and it's resulting with debt and war and lack of economic opportunity, for future generations. It's like, I don't care. It's like the two different ideologies, left or right. Some people say, we need trickle-down economics or demand-side economics, when in reality, I think that both of those theories are just Keynesian. I mean, I don't know, I think the smartest economist they have on the internet right now is Dr. Paul Craig Roberts. He was worked under the Reagan administration, and some say that he fathered the, the trickle-down, or Reaganomics, I guess is the word, but, in reality, it's coming down to the same thing as demand side, Keynesian economics. I think it's all one and the same. Just debt and war. It just depends on where you get it, either through a military contract or, authoritarianism, or I don't care if you get just all the government and everybody's so entrenched with their government jobs that they're just trying to keep things alive, that they just go along with it as voting blocks.
Well, just for, one thing is I have to say is that, well, of course, the American economics, is that it's all one type of economics, which you're kind of right, is that when I talk about, Keynesian, it's all, Democrats, Republicans, they all have the same real economic solution. It all surrounds corporations, it all surrounds big bankers, and it doesn't surround small businesses or the people or anything like that. And I think what has happened in South America, they've completely transformed their economies, and that they have had a political complete change, a shift to the left, I would say, but to the real left. And they've had an economic change as well now, where workers dictate a lot of the economic policies around the country. Where even in Venezuela, the workers meet with economic government officials, and they actually kind of negotiate out stuff of plans for the next year, whatever. Now, something like that has been initiated there. What I'm saying is that besides the last couple of years where the sanctions have really been hitting hard, before that, they had everything, all the markers of an economy went through the roof, and the people, the most important thing, who gives a shit about numbers on a screen, is how the people's lives are changed. Well, they used to live in slums in the 90s, they used to live in shanty towns. Now they live in actual big apartment complexes and normal housing. Compared, even people in rural areas, that's where the shanty towns used to exist. It's now suburbs. What people would say it's socialism. It's always going to fail or whatever. But that's not what's causing the recent problem. The recent problem is literally caused by one thing. It's opportunist vultures coming in from international countries, coming in to swoop in and try to take down the regime, try to install another banana republic. And they know that after Chavez's death, it's much more possible because there's no longer that strong figure to keep the whole movement united. Now there's a lot of division, a lot of people are losing the one thing he preached most, unity between all the different peoples of that country. And in other countries as well, they're starting to fall into the same trap that the United States has put them into. But I think that oftentimes, it seems to be there's only people that talk about the Keynesian versus Austrian. I don't know. I think they do forget the successes. That's not Keynesian though. Keynesian is just I think those are just bullshit terms almost, just for different little sections of the corporatist economy that fool the people with it, but it's all the same economy. There's Keynesian versus laissez-faire or whatever the Republicans claim they are at times. Well, anyways, last Friday is a whole different economy that, the Republicans would never actually roll out. I mean, that's been introduced in just a few countries, and it has mixed results. But I'm saying is that what it's seen in South America has been pretty successful for at least the third world. Yeah, it probably would be successful in the first world. But I would say then look at Russia, what they've done. They've kicked out the Rothschilds. They kicked out, they jailed the oligarchs. They started practically all over, and then they were a total crash, and it came all the way back up. And also another thing they did, or are about to do, is they're about to back their currency on the gold standard and put a gold ruble. Just some suggestions.
Yeah, well, what are they going to do when interest rates go up to 18%? I mean, these people are already hurting, like Venezuela with the crash of the oil. I mean, it's all being pegged together. But when interest rates go up and these corporations and banks start losing their ass, things will change real fast for these governments.
Well, it's been it's going on 16 years in Russia, and nothing's happened yet, and it's all being exaggerated. It's like the whole quotation says that the rumors of my demise have been greatly overestimated or greatly exaggerated. And that's what Russia right now is that that the rumors of the 2014 crash that supposedly happened there is completely exaggerated. It's not even close to what people have claimed to be. People are still living pretty normal lives, and the Russian middle class is still doing way much better than the American middle class at this point. And the interest rates, you're talking about numbers. When you start talking about stuff that can easily be fixed, of course, the big IMF and these other bankers, what you have to do is you have to separate from them because, of course, they're going to use tactics of economic warfare like they do on many different countries. It's a big fucking game they play, and you have to get away from their game, okay, and then start all over with your own sovereign economy. And Russia is almost, with the gold standard, you notice that when you put your money on the gold standard, mass profits don't seem to happen as much. They don't seem to go all over the place. You have to have, like in the United States, when we were still, before the Federal Reserve, our inflation never did stuff like what it does now. The last few years, where it literally goes 25% in a few years, and they don't. And also, when you're on the gold standard, usually you're not to have a central bank that does stuff like quantitative easing or stuff that's completely, economic suicide, putting 4 times the money that was once in circulation. I mean, that literally happened in 2009. They literally put 4 times the money out there in circulation. Look, there's a difference between what I would say is almost imaginary economics, like what the West plays with itself and plays around. We're just a system completely created by the richest bankers to keep us enslaved, keep everybody controlled, and they get to take all the money back at home because they can run the whole system. Or you can play real economics, gold standard, a real economic system, and the interest rate going up to 18%, that would have to be the Russian government themselves would have to value it. If they actually go to a completely sovereign economy, would have to value themselves at 18%. After that point, they have a lot. They can control their destiny at that point. And Venezuela, again, I guess. Well, I want to hear you out.
I was just going to say they can't even raise an interest rate at one point. I mean, they talk about raising it 0.25%, and look what Wall Street did. So when it comes back to 18% is a bit extreme, but that's where it was at in the 80s, and that bankrupt these nations. It's not to say that that's going to happen overnight or anything, but when the reality sets in, they just can't keep things as low as they were. I mean, I was surprised that they raised it 0.25%. And like I said, it was a bloodbath just a couple days ago. So things are coming to an end. It's just I'm surprised they're able to keep it going as long as they have.
Well, here's what I gotta say is that it's simple as this. It's like, of course, anybody that's on the American economic system, the petrodollar, is on the Federal Reserve connected to that. Yes, it's gonna go down with like a dominoes. But if you're not, it depends how you connected you are to that petrodollar. Is how bad you're gonna suffer when the dollar resets. Is how connected you are to the Western banking system, the World Bank and the IMF. For some countries, like I think that Russia that they're doing some last minute steps right here because they have separated quite a bit in the last few years, kind of by force. I mean, with the sanctions and everything, they don't trade nearly as much with West Europe. and other countries connected with Western banking. But to try to get away from that, because they know that it's doom and gloom over here on this side. And then we talk about Venezuela. Well, again, there's of course the people from the other countries that are trying to devalue them, trying to put the hurt on their economy. But they did kick out the Rothschilds, a big step. And they do have a gold supply that's ready to go into effect if anything major does happen. That's one thing that China is secure for them during this time. Also, here's another thing: is that Venezuela, one of the, people talk about the shores and stuff like that, is that they don't have, there's a problem there, is that smuggling is one of the reasons. In Colombia, where my family's from, every prices are about 10 times higher on a lot of stuff. So people from Colombia just used to, before the border was closed, used to just come in to Venezuela, do mass buyouts of everything, and then run right across the border with all their shit, and then sell it for 10 times more over there. I mean, the problem is foreigners trying to mess with their economy, and foreigners taking advantage, and foreign opportunists that are just kind of like low lives, like that take advantage over there, and then they take advantage of people in Colombia by making almost 99% profit. Literally, they make like 99.99% profit sometimes on gasoline because they're able to sell it at that high a price, and they do it with other commodities. And there's, of course, the foreign banker opportunists as well that are trying to take advantage of the situation. That's why, when I talk about in a situation like that, I think that nationalism is a little bit important in that situation. You need to realize that because you need to have a sovereignty at least. I mean, that's what's more important. You need to get away from those big from the IMF and World Bank, because their stack of dominoes is about to come right on down. It's a year or two less. You're right. Everything's about to end when it comes to the Western banking. It may not be end, but it's going to be a big reset, and there's going to be a lot of structuring changes. And during that time, a lot of people are going to suffer, except the rich, who are going to get even richer. It's going to be like 2009. It's going to be that times 6 probably, which we saw in 2009. It was pretty close to a total crash, but then the rich got even richer. Well, the rich will get even more richer this time. So that's my thoughts.
Yeah, there's a big reason why Lagarde and the IMF are circling like vultures right now, All these globalists are just out preying on people, nations, and who's to say they didn't just purposely crash the oil markets just for triggering some of this stuff? I mean, you look at these globalists, what is Venezuela, like the 10th largest oil-producing nation? And a few years back, what was that, 2008, they were talking about just, trying to go in after Chavez because he was, like, using his oil to fund terrorism. It's like, oh, no, he's giving free oil away to, senior citizens. He's dumping oil into the United States and in parts of Alaska with the Citgo gas or whatever. It's like they can't have somebody selling their natural resources at something other than the commodity prices. It's just like it's just too much, man. It's just what are they going to do? Go after and take them out? That's what it seemed like they were doing. I mean, Fox News was even talking about that.
Well, that's what could happen. I mean, it might not be done by. I think that. Well, of course, there was the coup in 2002 that failed, and they were so close to doing it there. And then they tried again in 2015. There was an attempted coup early in the year that was thwarted, and there might be another coup possibly on the horizon. There's many. They do it that kind of ways without actually having to invade. They'll go do it with CIA operation like they did many times in the past. How many coups have they done in that continent? And you talk about the 80s, there was how South America, there was a total economic crashes going around, and there was also the economic crashes early 2000s in Argentina. Well, that was during a whole different era. That was during the era of the banana republics in South America, and that was during the era of remote control from the United States, because as those leaders might have seemed like strong men that were completely in control of their country or whatever, and they were ruled as iron fist. Yeah, but they were just an adaptation coming from the United States, who were really pulling all these leaders by just literally telling them exactly what to do. They were all on their payroll, and of course on the big bankers' payroll. And I definitely think that at this point, the oil crash, the oil prices you talk about, that was intentional. That was intentionally done by the big bankers, and to keep well, actually done by Saudi Arabia mainly, is Saudi Arabia is selling gasoline well below probably at this point the actual below cost, and now it's what, $27 a barrel, which is, I mean, $50 a barrel is a remarkably cheap price, and now it's $27 a barrel. And what they're trying to do is, I think, they're mostly targeting Iran and Venezuela, and also even Russia to an extent. But I don't think it's actually going to do any real damage against Russia because they have so much more going for them than oil. And but I think that mainly it's mostly targeting countries where that's one of their major things they sell. And Iran can't really keep up with that because Saudi Arabia is just dropping the prices. I mean, they think that's over. But it's $27 a barrel. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's the cheapest it's been in 15 years at least. Which
in 1997 it was less than $12 a barrel in January 1997. So it can still go down there, and they were profitable at $12 a barrel.
It is part of the trifecta, huh? The God trifecta: guns, oil, and drugs. The OxyContin cartel, billionaire family, 16th richest in the U.S. The war on drugs, that's just another one. Look, all these people died, become addicted, get to start into drug addiction through prescription pills. Am I wrong in stating that OxyContin is made from actual opium? So, the opium war goes way back into colonial days, when England had the drug wars going on, the opium runs over there from the Orient. So it's the same game, and you can trace the players back for generations, back through this. The Bush family, very big. Even back in the 1800s, we're easily tracing these wars, these aggressors in the war against us. It's easy to trace it back, and it's sites, countries, boundaries, nations that they know none. They shift and mutate and migrate about. There's no ramifications against them. So. They use the same people that think they're fighting for what's right have been tricked into fighting for them. And so this is the idea we want to do. We want to be able to share information for examination, and let's all question our belief systems, our pet ideologies, and religion even. What's being taught to you from the pulpit, no matter what religion you are. Even if you think you're non-religious, even atheists are some of the most religious folks there are. So let's just really stop and think: are we together, or are we being divided?
Yeah, Vince. I mean, these people who talk about a pro-life candidate and talk that up at the pulpit, even with their tax status. But in reality, just go back to the Iran-Contra affair and look at the whole guns for drugs situation there, or even to this day with their perpetual wars, we've never really left the Middle East or anything. And, look who's controlling the opium fields in Afghanistan to this day. I don't think much has changed.
Well, right now, if you were to see how powerful the opium industry is, and ultimately what really driving it, the pharmaceutical companies, which, just like oil is practically just another commodity, but opium is one of the things that's been not talked about that's been taken out of Afghanistan and Iraq during this war, and it's being trafficked. The pharmaceutical companies, of course, opium is very lucrative, and pharmaceutical companies, they make it even more lucrative. I'm pretty sure if you went to a Bilderberg committee, to set the prices to a lot of the stuff, like we talked about how Venezuela, how they got in trouble pretty much because they wouldn't sell it at the commodity price the Bilderberg set for this kind of stuff. But anyways, talking about the opium, is that I think that of course the stuff is frankly straight. It's just completely straight opium. The OxyContin stuff that they've got people completely addicted to, and talking about this war on drugs that's going on. all it's done is made drug cartels stronger and brought more drugs to the United States. But look what's happened is that it was people that were hooked on those pills, those Oxycontin and stuff like that. Now that can't get them. Now they've actually went straight to the real thing. They're on heroin now. I mean, there's a heroin epidemic that is happening because of the pharmaceutical companies. But at the same time, we still have, and that's completely illegal. However, we still, and all the people that die from pharmaceutical pills every day. However, we have cannabis, a freaking flower. We have that illegal to this day, and except for 4 states, 46 states, it's still illegal, which is absolutely ridiculous. In some states like South Carolina or there's a few other there's South Carolina, Utah, there's a few states where if you get caught with it, it's years. I mean, like with any significant amount, it could be just a person.
We hate us for our freedoms.
What a load of shit.
Yeah, I know. Or like in South Carolina, you actually get life in prison for a flower, for cannabis.
You want to know what's something funny though? Sorry to interrupt. Something really funny though about they hate us for our freedoms, but that really there is truth in that, and unfortunately it comes right here at home when somebody is standing in the face of tyranny and someone says no, I don't like what they're doing, how they're doing it, how they're holding their mouth, how they're standing. Then we miss it. Big shout out to Tom from RBN. He was in a meeting, and now he's gone live to air over there. Resurrect the Republic at republicanbroadcasting.com. And he's talking now about the invitation for the Paiutes to come and reclaim their artifacts that have been mistreated. In our conversation, we've talked about that's a lot of dishes over there, Flash. You're moving around. He had talked about the mistreatment of and the condition of this place there. I mean, from the fire trucks to the dead batteries to the rat's nests in boxes of arrowheads and other such things that and he's also there is the invite for the Paiutes to come visit, to come and reclaim their property. So anyways, big shout out Tom. Maybe we can get a report for him, but I do invite you, if you want to know what's going on out there in Burns County, to find Thomas Robert Lagomar, student, Resurrect the Republic on RBN. That's 30 Uncle Sam over there. So check him out. He and I said earlier, I got to know him pretty good out there. Spent a lot of time with him. Sounds like Shark's in. Hello, Shark. So let me hand back the mic to Chris.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks for the interruption.
I guess since I have the mic, I was going to transfer the conversation. It's like people. It seems like whenever somebody has to stand up for tyranny in the United States, they just have all these haters that come up on them. Like a lot of times, it's like what's happened with Bundy, where it seems like even people in the activist community, they really don't really like these Bundys stand for them standing up to the BLM and to the government, and I think it's somewhat out of jealousy, and I think also what's also happened, some of the factionalization of the movement, where we don't really want to unify. It seems like we'd rather split up and give ourselves a bunch of give ourselves not just labels, but we like to label everybody, stuff that and to say that they're that and they're that, and that we don't like them because they're that, and that means that they're that. It's like, oh well, over here we're ANCAP, so over here we're ANCOM, no, over here we're we're actually conservatives. It's like all of these, but in the whole movement against the government right now is just this complete lack of unity, and it's the Bundy family is really showing that, and you see. There's been other events like this where you've seen this, complete disdain for for a movement that's, for me, I mean, it's like how many people actually are supportive of, for example, Ferguson outrage and people that rose up there. You know, there was illegitimate protesters there too. There was this opportunist, and the people that were supportive of the Bundy thing. I think that, you know, those kind of, you know, very few people support those types of movements, but I think that both of the movements had legit aspects to them. I think that, for example, you know, I think that definitely, of course, the state, what we should look at this point is the state versus us, rather than the state versus the white people, the state versus black people. But, you know, the Bundys don't see themselves as that, but some of the supporters, I think, do, unfortunately, or they see that, they think that the Black Lives Matter are just a bunch of thugs, or the people that are out there in Ferguson who keep their riot, that they didn't have a political agenda. But the truth is, they did have a political agenda. It was with police brutality. And it's not just only talking about on black people, they're talking about everybody, but it's definitely there. The police have been killing thousands. I mean, they say 1,100 on the media. I think it's bullshit. I think it's way higher than that. They're not telling us the real numbers. I think it's probably somewhere between 3,000 to 5,000 are probably killed each year by police. And I think in the real era of militarization, the last 15 years or so, I would say probably somewhere between around 75,000 have been killed by police, for all we know. I mean, I think it is a full-out genocide that's almost being committed by the militarized police forces. And now they have tanks, they have armored vehicles, and who are they going to use it against? It's not to be used against a foreign invader or something like that. The real thing is that they're using it against us, the American people, you know, in the future when they bring martial law in. And I think that right now what we are seeing is out there in Oregon is that it's a social experiment to some extent, how they've treated it, and they realize that most of the people won't stand up for it. You know, many militias started to rise up throughout the United States. They wouldn't support it. And there's an actual real revolution with guns against the government or armed protests. They wouldn't support it, it looks like. And I don't know, what is this? There's a word for that, homophobia or something like that. You know, irrational pure weapons. I don't know. Because really, we became such an anti-gun society. It seems like it's absolutely absurd. And they try to push gun control on us. It seems like it would be pretty easy because so many people are so scared of guns. They don't realize that if the guns are taken away, a much more scary result happens, and we get, well, criminals. They have unlimited access to rob, kill, or the rest of us. I mean, we have no protection from them. But also the main thing is the government. And the government, they can, at that point, they've always done the past, committed genocide. Look what happened after Hitler took the guns from most people. Some people got to keep their guns, but it was only German citizens. And German citizenship during Nazi Germany is so subjective. It was like, oh, you're Jewish, of course you can't be a citizen. Oh, you're black, of course you can't be a citizen. Oh, you're a gypsy, of course you can't be a citizen. There was like very few people that had to be citizens in Nazi Germany, so very few people could have guns. Stalin, they took away the guns for 16 years, and they killed 30 million or something like that in that time. Mao took away those guns, and then like 45 million got killed under Mao's leadership. In Guatemala, during one of those phony republics that were installed by the United States, he disarmed everybody after the coup, and then he killed 200,000 natives, native South Americans. And there was one more example. Let's not forget Britain. They took away the gun 18 years ago. And ever since that, well, police decided that they had to arm themselves. But you know what's happening is that now they have the most violent crime in Europe. And they have so many knife stabbings that they're actually considering, I'm not kidding, for restricting knife access. So what's next? Knife control? It's really absurd.
They do it. They did it to the Boy Scouts in Scotland when I left Scotland.
Oh yeah, they do have knife control to an extent. They're like, I think in some places in Britain, I don't know if it's all Britain, you have to be like 18 just to buy a knife of any kind. I mean, it's like sooner or later you have a lot of adults that have knives. I mean, what's next? They're gonna have to be pushing people out of. I mean, it's like if we got rid of all weapons, literally the amount of people being pushed out of windows will go up. I mean, criminals or whatever, people are trying to kill somebody, I guess, will always find some way to kill that person. I mean, it doesn't matter what. I mean, hammers is old, and I think it's the most used murder tool. What's next? We're going to have to get rid of hammers?
You know, and then they let in all the refugees, you know, based on all these perpetual wars, and then I don't care if the people of Europe or the people of the United States, there's going to be problems as a result of just wrecking societies. I mean, I'm not saying that from a racist standpoint, but you just enter in so many people at one time. There's going to be problems, and then they're just going to come after the civil rights of the constitutional governments that are there, and that's what's going to happen.
You know, I've got to say, I'm glad you didn't say European. So I just meant European and let us pray are trigger words to me. So when you say European,
what did I say? What did I say?
Let us pray. I always visit the heads of lettuce with their hands clasped. European, I always picture that sticker on the back of a pickup truck here in the South, that little kid pissing on something. Trigger word. Sorry, you didn't actually say that, but it did trigger the trigger for the trigger. Hey, keep your booger hooks off the bang switch until you're ready to pull the trigger, and that could be one of the reasons, if none other than, why you not need a gun, and that's to kill a wascally wabbit now and then, or a pesky squirrel, as Brent said. So yeah. Oh, Chris, don't leave. Stay here. Where are you going? Okay, he's got to go for a minute. Okay. Well, do come back, Chris. So, since I interrupted you with the wascally wabbit, so. All right. So let's talk about guns. Bang.
Boom. Click. Boom. You're dead.
Communists don't like guns, do they?
I don't know. I'm American. Why are you asking me?
You're not American.
You're
American.
American.
You left, buddy.
That's right.
Don't tell me you're American.
My
You
people
can if you're the mafia, and you can get paid under the table and sell submarines and all that. It's not so bad during a collapsing government as long as you're on the right side. If you're, you know, in that camp.
Well, I was going to get into trade slaving and slave trading, and you guys are my first shot at it.
Yeah. See how that works out for you, country. Yeah, that Mexican in you, you're only half Mexican. Honestly, you're a Mexican.
It's a mess, isn't it? All the corporations want to claim me.
Hey, what do you guys think about the sniper rifle that Mr. Fast and Furious gave El Chapo?
Cool. Like that.
Just run that down to him. Personally give it to him, huh?
I don't know.
See how high up in the mafia it goes.
When a Mexican kills an American, I only get half hurt.
Say hello to my little friend.
I know. It's sad, isn't it? Racism is so much fun. Let's be racist.
I'm going to do the pump over here.
I want to be racist.
Vince,
but Uncle Vince, I want to be a racist.
You're an e-racist, and you're really, really fast on the internet. Hey, this is some good stuff right here. I'm gonna start. This is all natural, dude. Shout out. Thank you, Grammy Berry.
Looks like a tampon.
Man, this stuff is awesome. And the other essential oils.
He's either sniffing coke or that's a tampon.
Man, that stuff is awesome.
Wow.
Got a nice supply of essential oils laid in here.
Pass it over, fucker.
Yeah.
You don't share?
You having a biscuit party?
Got some good stuff, dude.
Oh, man. You're going to make me have another shot.
Hey, don't knock it if you ain't tried it. That's some of that crazy newfangled stuff that's been around for eons. Yeah, the alternative. Oh, we're going to talk about guns. We'll come back and talk maybe about the pharmaceutical.
I want a gun.
Yeah, let's talk about guns. Buy a gun. Hey, shout out Nick and Mike. Tuesday nights, prime time, UCY.tv. Are you into guns? You like guns?
Guns are cool.
I like got a rubber band gun. That one's pretty cool. Don't really feel, but
pellet gun. It's great.
A pellet gun? Pellet guns are pretty bad. You can, you know what? With a pellet gun, man, you can. That's one of a really great survival item to have. You can eat birds. You can eat your dog, animal.
I want a tank.
I eat your animal.
Can you get me a tank? I want a tank. Fuck this gun shit. Can you get me a tank? That's what I want.
I think you ought to be able to have a tank. Have a Sherman tank parked in your front yard. So do you like guns, Meister Brow? Hey, bro.
I do, man. I think they're awesome. I always thought they were awesome, but I was also taught to never point a gun at somebody, or if you are going to do it, you better be prepared to pull the trigger. I told you about the asshole that shot me right in the finger with a BB gun when I was like 14 years old, and I should have popped this guy in the mouth. My finger hurt so much, so I mean, it's a good thing it wasn't a fully loaded automatic, you know what I mean?
Fun times.
Dang, yeah.
My fingernail started like this big bruise on the other side of my fingernail. It's like, at the same time it's bleeding, man. It was like, I can't imagine getting shot with a real gun, because that hurt.
Well, I've been shot at and stabbed with a knife.
Yeah?
Well,
Why did you do that?
I have been shot. So I've lived a pretty rough life.
I can't imagine somebody just pulling a knife out on you. Then again, I always looked at it as a good fist fight is, kick their ass and that's enough. But, hey, I've seen some people, they think it's, their time to pull their eyeballs out and, all sorts of crazy stuff. So I guess it can turn into a matter of life or death real quick, or a matter of your eyeballs. So you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, I think it's if there was ever a law that I'd favor a law that everybody be armed, and of course got to have legs. Just sit there.
Wow, now you sound like those days.
Well, we have the right to self-defense.
Yeah.
You should be able to defend yourself or your property. Nobody else is.
I think you should be able to
somebody
live.
Who was it? I was talking about a kitchen knife has been deemed not to be an arm. That you cannot claim being armed with a kitchen. So I think that's how that went. Behind the Woodshed Sundays, RealLibertyMedia.com, simulcast at UCY.tv. Really good information. A lot of people don't understand how, because he speaks in a language that is so foreign to our thinking concept. But what he's talking about is how words are used against us, if you will, in the legalese, and how to be able to take those words and because in order for this system to work so well for itself, it has to have these loopholes or these ease of the easement, maybe I might say. So, in order for that to happen, there's a way to backdoor into them, right, and use your own system against them. I'm sorry. So, I'm a student of how, and after a while, this is for Desert Hawk. After a while, you begin to understand the words coming out of his mouth. Don't change nothing, Hal. Don't dumb yourself down. Let people wisen themselves up to be able to understand what it is that you have for us to take a look at. Guns. Buy a gun. Check out that intro. That's pretty cool from Primer Time. I should go over and grab it. I don't know how well it'll play. Let's do a little experiment. I'll go do it. I'll hand you the mic back, Brent.
And I'll take it.
Did you out of my neck of the woods, there was a local gun dealer that they just confiscated all of his inventory, and he has millions of dollars tied up in some German warehouse. Well, he was like importing with AK-47 rounds after the DEA gave him the permits in the first place to import these. And then, like after the first shipment came in, they confiscated everything, and they even gave him another permit to import another round. of imports, and they said that these were they were armor-piercing rounds. I mean, you're talking millions of rounds for AK-47s, but they said that they could be used in handguns, and that this was something that was illegal for, due to the Gun Control Act or whatever, and that's why they confiscated his millions of dollars of merchandise, which puts his business in jeopardy when they take that. But they gave him the permits in the first place to import it. They approved it, and this is all based off of some law that they have, but in reality there's only been 4 of the prototypes ever brought into the United States, and they're not even for commercial use. So here they are, they gave him the permits, let him bring it in, then they confiscate it, and then he now has to go fight this battle in court after they take out his business. It's just, it's absolutely ridiculous how the courts allow the law enforcement arm to pull this. They issued the permit in the first place, and then they're going to say that these AK-47 rounds are for handguns, which they're not. They can say that, but there's only 4 in the United States, and they're not even for commercial use. So I don't know if you picked up on that one that came out yesterday.
I think I see a little piece about it. When you apply for a permit, you're begging. Yeah, I think. Yeah. So hey, check this out. I'm gonna unplug. I'm gonna plug in my speaker here. So I'm gonna go ahead and try this. Anyways, we'll play just.
We're experimenting on the air.
All right. Touch your mouth for a minute.
No.
Wait. Here we go. Ready? We'll see how well it comes across. 131. Who's trying to lead now, folks? We got a half an hour to go. But if you got to go, hey, thanks for coming on, Brent. And Chris J.
Yeah, man.
Chris J.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks,
We'll do
buddy.
it again.
Appreciate it. Peace. Hey, that was a big shout out to Michael and Nick. Their last show is the SHOT Show posting sex people, horticulture, primer time. UCY.TV Tuesday nights. Tune in. Alright. So we're down with the Neon Flash. And finally, we're going to be to
Supper.
Chit chat at Real Liberty Media. So, yeah, we are in a war, right? Right? So, like, I should do my little part of protest right here with the second 420 report.
No, you're in a war. I'm not in a war.
So,
you're in a war. I'm not in a war.
Go ahead, man.
You're in a war. I'm not in a war.
You're not in a war?
No.
Well, you should be.
Probably, yeah. But I escaped America, and I don't have to be. You can't make me.
Can they hear you talking when you're talking to me?
Ask them.
Can folks listen?
Only when I mute. I think only when I mute.
Oh, you know what? I need to plug my earphones back in.
Okay. Can you hear me now, guys, at RLM? Give me a sound check.
Your unofficial pause. A moment of silence.
So when I talk, I'll mute my mic so they can hear me. And then it's weird, man, because then you can't hear me if I mute, right?
I guess so.
I don't know. Let's give it a test. Can you hear me, Vince?
All right. Hey, Gary. Thanks, Meister Brown. There's Grimner. He's our barman serving up drinks today. A good shot of Savvy for the other spaghetti noodle. Okay, good. Yeah, they still hear you, Flash.
So I guess whether I got it muted or not. Okay. I don't know.
I guess.
One time it was only going through if I muted it.
It sounds like you were working at a restaurant there for a minute, bumping tables.
Yeah, we got a house full right now too. They're all in the kitchen drinking. Give me a little space to finish this up.
Yeah, so Flash, we're looking at each other, and we are standing up in this war in protest by consuming God's good provisions to tree of life.
And not participating
Slowly
openly.
I turn, step by step, inch by inch, here.
Yeah, but you're protesting. I'm protesting a little. I took a little bit more of a beating with my protest from my peers than you do.
I'm going to have to ask you to step within the rope bounds provided for protest, please. We might be calling a free speech zone.
Welcome to Denmark.
Welcome to Denmark. Hey, did I mention RBN Thomas Robert Lockevar Stewart, Resurrect the Republic? He's on live right now. So if you're not listening to me, you ought to be over there listening to him. I'm going to listen to his archive for certain. Yeah, hey, he's got a lot to say about what's going on out there, actually, and it's not the same narrative. Also, let me see here. I'm going to close out some tabs. Let me go grab you. Is this him? Yeah. Let me grab you. I think I caught a frog. I swallowed him halfway. Let's see.
Whoa.
I'm going to grab it for Real Liberty Media chat room. RealLibertyMedia.com. Thank you. This is Tom Spreaker. I can't say Spreaker. Is that how you say it? Spreaker?
Well, for not saying it, you sure said it.
I can speak it. I can't say it.
You can say it.
I can.
Because you're an American, not an American.
That's right. That is right. You know what else I want to do? I'm going to go grab this right here from UCY.TV.
The left side of your pants. Whoa.
Now, this is a Farmer Times playlist right here. So you'll be seeing this before you hear me say it. Bam, how do you like that? There it is. Will Barman title it for me? Boom! Yes, Barman is quick. The great and mighty Barman. Farmer Time with Michael and Nick. Shot show host, executive order culture from 1/19/2016. I think the Buzz Beaver and Primer Time would endorse one another. And hey, this is, let me re-drop this here. We didn't really talk about this, drop. The Bundy Ranch interview I never got. We're going to do a show on that, not to worry about. We will. Let me drop that over there. So, that, I guess if you're listening, you know what, I'm going to grab these two and take them over to World Truth where I got them circled up one spot. And then I will include this when it goes to WorldTruth.org, YouTube, which will go through speaker and then upload there. And then I'll put a bunch of hashtags and stuff like that. Thanks, Grimmer. That's pretty cool. You made it pretty easy. And I found sounds like I got a C-130 coming. Let me listen. Yeah, he's more down the river though. There'll probably be at least two, maybe 84 flying out of Jacksonville. So, hey, so we did a little pre-production, and I think, whoops, there it goes again. We worked on a little production during our broadcast, and so I heard you beating the keys there, Flash, and now I see a message, but let me finish this here. Oh, I think I've seen part of what you wrote.
That was just a joke, man. I was kidding. Don't do it. Hey, stop it before he does it. Oh, shit.
Okay, there's Brett back with the message. So come back down here.
Come over.
I like to talk German sometimes.
Come over and get 4. Fuck that sends you one shit. They don't want to go there anyway. They wouldn't give their home up for their America. Are you nuts? They live in paradise. It's fucking great here.
Red Rover. Yeah. Oh, I forgot. We have some secret-coded messages to transmit.
Okay.
5, 9, 3, 7, 12. Wait, that ain't a real number. You're not supposed to use a 12 in the code. Oh! Now we should say some words to make sure we get listeners in SA. Mustache.
Cloud. Yeah, cloud.
Bed.
Pizza.
Guns.
Bill Clinton has a big fucking nerve.
Oh, Bump Bill, he's just misunderstood.
You know, you saw that thing I posted about his apology to America for experimenting on him?
Probably.
I don't think a lot of people have seen that because they went out and got inoculated afterward.
Hey, check out the picture that Sir put together. Actually, I'm going to have her do it. I know you'll love me for this. Yeah, I'm going to ask her to chop it one more time. I talked to the artist, Alan. He's a South African. I really dig this dude, man. First of all, his art speaks so well for what it is that I'm trying to translate out of my brain. And coincidentally, there is a brain in that. So Dirk did some what do you call that when you put letters on it?
Lettering.
Yeah, fonted it.
Yeah, font. Oh, fuck me, font.
So, yeah, I like the font.
Yeah.
This is no time for rational thinking. So he says, yeah, he kind of dug it. And he's already told me, as he's told me several times, I'm free to use his art as I will.
Yeah, she did go real hard not to butcher it too much.
So not to what?
Not to butcher it too much.
Oh, yeah. And that was one of my concerns.
Yeah.
But if we shift the brain and the guy, the soldier guy, all the way to the left,
that's the thing.
And then but actually, this is the funny part now.
That was where it started.
I want to mirror it to the other side. I want to mirror the image and then put it to the other side. That way the brain goes out the left-hand side there. And then the rest of the TVs will tie in with the other TVs that's going through the machine and the grinder and spitting out.
Are you on?
Juicy oil and money.
Are you on drugs, son?
Yes, son.
You behaving like he's on drugs.
I drugged my butt around, and I've been on it for a while now. I've been on drugs.
So I read the other day that Delaware is the first state to just say fuck it and give up their gun laws, and they traded them for Obama phone minutes. Is that true, or is that just another rumor?
I'm holding out a card for the Obama card. Hey, we got notifications over on worldtruth.org. Thanks to Randy Mary. She likes Flash Somebody and Crow, like the Oxycontin cartel. Crow Grimner and Gary L. likes my status of war is a racket, not a tennis racket. Nope. It ain't a game. It's real, baby. Grimner Freeman and Gary L. And now you see like things too again. They like the picture. I didn't title it. I will retitle that though. I hate pictures that have all those numbers. But that's the art of Alan Stridham.
We have a caller. Yeah. We have a caller.
Well, I'm back. All right. What's up, Chris?
Okay, frisk. I need ID. Frisk this guy. Get some ID. Maybe he might be armed or something, man.
What were you guys talking about 20 minutes ago?
We were rolling around, kicking stuff around, and sharing some links and attributions and
just fucking around, having a minute.
Commentary, yeah. So hey, welcome back. Hey, we got about another 15 minutes, so let's back up to a relevant point, Chris, and let me ask you to take this next 15 minutes and tell us about the time of World War II, the OS, what was it? Now my mind blank. What was before the CIA? The Office of Strategic Defense. Is that it? The OS.
The OSS was a secret service before the secret intelligence agency prior to the CIA. But during World War II, I mean, we're talking about first prior to World War II. Germany, there was a time of kind of just like a transitionary period in the Weimar Republic. And during that time, I mean, everybody was very poor. Their money had been devalued 1 trillion times. Not kidding, in the 1920s because of hyperinflation that the bankers levied on them due to the Treaty of Versailles. Which, if people know anything about that, it was pretty much just the bankers. It was just a total screw over of the German people. For something that most of the German people had no part of during World War I. But anyway, then after that, it left Germany very vulnerable to different movements. And around 1980, right after the monarchy fell, there was a revolution was attempted, but it was almost successful. The revolution was sabotaged pretty much by Stalinists when one faction of the revolution, pretty much hardline, Stalin types. Even though Stalin hadn't became the leader yet, there's already this kind of factions in the European socialist movements, and then they had Luxembourg killed. Luxembourg was the leader of the German revolution, and then she was much different than the Stalinists who took control of the movement, but it fell apart very quickly, and then the revolution ended, and then it went into the dark era of the Weimar Republic. People practically went back to the Stone Age during this time, and then the rise of the National Socialist Party, or often referred to as Nazi, was really done its right after coming power. I mean, the socialism wasn't a part of it. It's fascism. It was called the National Party, simply as that. And Adolf Hitler came up, and the thing was that he's come up by the whole wives' tale was that he came up via book sales and propaganda sales and that kind of stuff, but that's not how he came up. He had friends, and back at Wall Street, he had friends also and other bankers, and, people would think, well, why would the bankers fund Hitler? It was to bring up, what I see, it was to bring up a plan for a new world order, a very quick one, plan to take over the world using Nazi Germany as a military machine to do so. And what happened was that I think that ultimately there wasn't enough third world support like originally predicted with Adolf Hitler's Nazi Germany, which there was some third world support in the Middle East, and not like how the Zionists try to claim like the Middle East was actually was Hitler, no, just small proxies that Hitler stole in the Middle East, mostly North Africa, where he took over and conquested, but he also stole his proxy, the Muslim Brotherhood, which is now the same Muslim Brotherhood that you see the United States using to tinker with the affairs of Egypt and other countries in the region. But Nazi Germany was funded by big bankers, and they quickly the movement gained strength. So throughout the 20s, there was an attempted coup in 1924 called the Beer Hall Putsch, which didn't really didn't really silence Hitler to any extent, but it didn't actually move his campaign along whatsoever. Really, just it was neutral. He was released out of jail pretty quickly afterwards, and then soon the guy who set Hitler up for power was Hindenburg, which yes, that's the same guy, the blimp that crashed and caught on fire, and everybody heard the humanity. That's the same guy. That's why those two were named after Hindenburg, who thrived in Germany from 1930 to 1932, set up Hitler's rise to power. And also talking about, and then there was also almost immediately Hitler took power. That's when he set up the Muslim Brotherhood in North Africa. So he already had his eyes on conquest very quickly, but his eye on conquest would be realized pretty shortly after. But the big bankers that funded him, one of them were the Strasser brothers. The Strasser brothers, yes, they were Jewish, funded him, and a lot of other bankers, including the main ones, the Rothschilds, funded him. And people also ask the question, well, why would Jews fund Hitler? Well, for one thing, these Jews who don't care, these top ones, the ones the banks don't care about their compatriots, Jewish compatriots in Europe that died during the Holocaust, they didn't care, because it just went into their agenda, and it did go into the agenda into the creation of Israel. It really set up a pretty good excuse to create the state, and even though the logic behind it doesn't even really make sense whatsoever, they tried to say that they deserved a homeland after they were persecuted in Europe. Why did Palestine have to give up their entire country for it when they had no part of the war whatsoever? And why did the plan that went way before that, back to the early 1900s, the Balfour Declaration in 1917. It really was planned out ever since World War I, the creation of Israel. And the Rothschilds, it was Balfour, I think, some British diplomat gave a letter to one of the Rothschilds, pretty much promising them, the British promised them the land of Israel, or Palestine at the time, down the road. And throughout the years, there's actually what was untold about was the Zionist-Nazi collaboration, which was actually, there was some, for example, here's one of the examples of that, is that Hitler worked with there was a Zionist Federation of Germany was created inside of Nazi Germany, and he worked with them in order to move all the Jews out of Germany and move them to conquest Palestine. That was the plan. And pretty much the richer ones would get to leave, and they would pay a little tax, and they would move all the stuff to Palestine, which would later become Israel. And Hitler looked at his friend Mussolini, who came up in the 20s, another fascist, and then Hirohito over there in Japan. And the bankers also were supporting FDR as well, of course, because they had the Federal Reserve, and actually FDR made a major move in the help of the bankers, which was to confiscate all the gold inside the United States in 1933. Also, let's not forget it that people talk about the concentration camps in Europe and Germany, Nazi Germany's concentration camp. Let's not forget that FDR locked up people as well in pretty rough conditions. They locked up Japanese in internment camps, of course, but there's also Italians and Germans locked up in camps. And let's not also forget is that he also, it was based on race. There was no really a connection. You could suspect the connection. It was like, you are that race or whatever, so you will be sent to camp. FDR also didn't really, the United States government really didn't have that much beef against Hitler too much until around 1944. They joined it very late into the war, but it was mostly against Japan was the only one they were really striking at. And Pearl Harbor, of course, FDR immediately declared war right after that, and then they were doing most of the Pacific fighting over there, but in Europe, it was pretty much the Soviet Union left alone against Nazi Germany, which the Soviet Union attempts to take out the Nazi fire was almost stopped by Stalin. Stalin didn't even really want to be in the war either. He was in a way, in fact, Stalin was in a way sympathetic to Hitler, as it's, because he had the Molotov-Ribbentrop pact that, which actually assured non-aggression between the two. Hitler actually invaded and caused the Soviet Union to enter the war. And also, it seemed like whatever, the Soviet strategy was against the Nazis, Stalin was sabotaging it by pretty much doing a very destructive policy, just sending more men at the problem and see how that works, which it ended up in the deaths of tens of millions of Soviet soldiers. It's estimated, actually, they think it's 16 million Soviet soldiers, they say, died in the war. And then at the very minimum, 11 million more civilians. Some people estimate up to about 20. They estimate 29 more million civilians. Up to 45 million total Soviets died in the war. And the Soviet Union did about 9% of the fighting over there. But ultimately, what happened in the end was the United States pretty much transferred the power to attack the third world and push the New World Order agenda, and all the Nazis were moved into a lot of them into positions in the United States government, and they became NATO chief of staff, was formerly a Nazi. There was a lot of Nazis, the scientists that moved here with the Operation Paperclip, and analysts, and they moved right into the CIA. And the first operation of the CIA was Operation Paperclip. Also, to be noted is that Adolf Husinger was the Nazi chief of staff. He literally got the same position in Nazi Germany, in NATO, that he had Nazi Germany under Hitler. One of the top positions in the Nazi government. And Israel was created with the excuse of World War II, but the truth was the plan went way before that. It was created. Israel was thought about not by wasn't by practices. It was by atheists. I didn't think about it. They didn't believe God promised them the land because they didn't believe God promised them the land. It was about blood, and they believed that Jewish blood was superior and that everybody else was goyim. And they believed Israel could just kick out all those Palestinian people, and they did. And it was announced called Al-Nakba, the tragedy, the day when the Palestinian people were the time when the Palestinian people were pushed out of Palestine and they were killed. There were about 800,000 of them were displaced, and I think tens of thousands that were killed or something like that. And then it was completely,
and I think the importance of that we see in history is, of course, that history seems to repeat. So we're coming up at the end of the hour. Tell everybody, listeners, I'm sorry, I've been distracted. Hey, thanks for tuning in, Doc Bloom. I'll catch you there and catch up with you in chat in just a second. So, your Voice of Rebellion Sundays over on UCY.tv. I'm proud to be a part of that in being the man that's a switchboard for you. So, tell us, you're going to be 18 here in a couple weeks. Tell us, take us out these last 2 minutes. Thanks for listening, everybody, by the way. Tell us what you're going to do in your life. Tell us some plans about how you plan your stand against that which is against us. And take us out the last 2 minutes. And love and peace, y'all. Thanks for listening.
Well, as I say, Vince, those plans are highly classified. I'm kidding. No, I would say that only 10% of it's classified. The other 90% sure I'll disclose. What I would say by that is that my 18th birthday, that can't be disclosed. That's going to have we'll just say that when you go all out, it's going to be wild. But you know, I'm gonna say that what I plan on doing soon, I would say that of course I continue the radio show well down the road, and plan on, you know, we'll see how far it goes. I mean, I made a lot of progress in 2015. I would say, like, you know, maybe by 2017, who knows where the radio show will be. Well, we could definitely probably bring on some bigger guests this year onto the show, and I think that in the next few months, I definitely hope that I'll be able to travel to some of those countries that I talked quite a bit about to you know, to actually see firsthand what, you know, I've been able to talk with a lot of people online, but I never visited and seen in person. I would probably visit I would definitely say visit Russia in the next few years. That's definitely a goal. And I would also, you know, possibly go to the university and get that paper that, you know, I'm going to see it's another racket, but it's kind of necessary, I guess. And
right on.
But I definitely definitely one of the main plans I got is traveling, going to see stuff firsthand, and really furthering my radio/journalist career as it is, moving it me to a little bit bigger stage, you know, in the next year or so. It could be very possible with the connections I've been getting into bigger media.
So, and, hey, Chris, thanks for taking part today, man. Thanks, Meister Brow, and thanks, Flashing Sir. Thank y'all, listeners. And I think I'm going to be back in next week for some extras on this. There's more subject matter that I wanted to cover. So today I thought it would be great to come in and have some folks speak and just kind of off the cuff today. But anyways, show them no love and peace, y'all. Listen, by the way, worldtruth.org on YouTube. We need 100 subscribers to get a custom URL. I'm going to grab that and bring it on over here to chat. So if you haven't subbed and you do the Google goggle thing there, please do subscribe. And also we've got that Facebook page going over there. Thanks for Grammy and Gary O. And Kira's on Saturdays here at RealLibertyMedia.com. Simon Goslin. So anyways, I guess that's it. Call me gone. Anyways, see you back in chat. Love, peace, y'all.
Thanks for having me on, Vince.
Right on. Thanks. That's the wrap. Kill him and wrap him.